We're live. Ta-da! Hello. All right. Sorry for being a little late here today. I'm Jim McKeith, and welcome to another episode of the podcast at Delphi.org. Unfortunately, I don't. You guys can turn your cameras on and share them through GoToMeeting. We're using GoToMeeting this week to consolidate things because we have a special guest online with us today. As you can see from the title, we have Boian Mitov of Mitov Software joining us. Are you there, Boyan?
That will remain in secrecy forever.
That's right. All right, so now we're going to go, and Boyan's going to tell us about. So he already told us a little bit about Visuino. I'll summarize really quick. We talked about we talked about Linguino, which I mentioned that, right? Which is on Kickstarter, which funded in the first 2 hours. But then he's telling us about how Visuino makes it. Well, go ahead and real quick summarize the short version of Visuino.
Sure. Visuino is a graphical development environment that allows you to program Arduino type of boards and many other compatible and similar boards, including ESP H266, ESP32, TNC, and many others. You don't write code. You simply drop the components, which perform different actions or control different sensors and actuators and stuff. Then you connect them, showing which component controls which other component, and set the properties for them. Then you click a button, it generates your C++ code, opens the Arduino IDE, and from the Arduino IDE, you can compile and upload the code directly into your corresponding controller. It also comes with visualization capabilities. It can monitor and display multiple channels of data on a scope or gauges and visual instrumentation. So it's quite powerful to both implement complex projects, debug them, and then visualize and collect data. It can even log the data for you and do things like that.
Yeah, I had started using Arduino, doing some Arduino development before, and it's not. I don't want to say it's terribly complicated or terribly hard, but it's not intuitively easy, especially when you start getting into debugging and you have like some weird things. Like I had this IR remote, and I was trying to figure out what the data was, and so I had to try and figure out how to do debug logging and all this stuff. And I've done similar stuff since then with Visuino, and Visuino makes it so much easier, especially the debugging portion of things. So that's fantastic. And then I think everybody heard me commenting about the fact that I can use Instrument Lab and actually build a Delphi application in Communication Lab that has this sort of functionality and interface into my Arduino projects really easily. So Visuino it's fantastic. It's a standalone, complete Arduino development solution, but that also makes it really easy because it's built with Communications Lab. Makes it easy to integrate with Communications Lab into your Delphi applications. So Plot Lab does these graphs like this, and then Instrument Lab is the one that shows these sorts of gauges and such. So I will tell my story that I always tell people when I talk about Visuino. When we were doing, I guess it was Code, I can't remember which Code Rage it was, but Code Rage a while ago, and it was you just launched Visuino and you were showing it off at Code Rage and you're talking about it, and someone asked about the price at the end of the session, and you said it's $9.95, and I'm like, wow, that's a lot of money, but I guess it's worthwhile for this high end, nice, professional Visuino development solution. And then later you said something about being, you wanted to have it under $10. I'm like, wait a second, you mean $9.95? Because I heard $9.95 and thought, $995. And I went out and bought it right there that day. It was just crazy. I bought that, and then I think Communications Lab, and I don't remember what else it was, but Instrument Lab, I think it was. Just because I'd done Arduino the hard way, and so it was nice to have something that made it so easy to do.
Thank you.
So we lost Craig.
Oh boy.
He may have got called away for diaper duty. His baby will be one, I
Well,
guess.
I'm still here.
David's still here.
David, by the way.
So, David, have you used Visuino? I can't remember if you were involved in the IoT bootcamp we did or not.
I was not involved in that, no, but I've read quite a bit about Visuino, and Boian, I've seen all your blog articles and that kind of stuff. In fact, I think we spoke about it. We met a couple of years ago in Cologne at one of the Delphi Tag
Oh,
Correct.
groups. Yeah,
now you've done.
looks like a fantastic thing, but I actually don't own an Arduino, so
You don't own
I
an
haven't,
Arduino.
haven't tried using it.
You should get one. I mean, Arduino Nano specifically is very affordable. I usually get them for about $2 on eBay. So, I mean, probably
It costs more in postage.
no. Actually, that's with free shipping.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
it's
Yeah,
crazy.
it's $2 free shipping included.
It's crazy how cheap these are. And if you're actually Adafruit's another good place to get them. It's a little more expensive, but you get some good, really nice piece parts. But this guy right here, this Circuit Playground, which I just bought one. This is $25. You have to pay for shipping on it, but it's nice because it has all these LEDs and I don't know what else it's got built into it.
It has sensors. It has an accelerometer and thermometer, and it has speaker and microphone built in.
Yeah.
So that
So this is kind of a higher end one, if you will. But then yeah, like on eBay or all sorts of, you can get a really good price. Arduino Nano.
Yeah, nanos are among my favorite ones because here they're like 3 pieces for $10.95, and then if you keep looking, you can definitely find offers for like 3 of them for $6 or something like that. So I buy them like a pack of gum, basically.
Yeah.
10 pieces for $30 as example. Okay, well, it's more than $2 what I found. But if you keep searching, you can definitely find. Yeah, this one is $2.90. Well, it's getting there. Well, this is mini. This is not nano. But if you keep searching, you can definitely find deals at around $2. But even $3, I mean, it's not that horribly bad.
So, David, I know you're making a trip to the U.S., so you should order some of these to the Austin office and pick them up while you're there.
It's a really good idea, yes.
Maybe have Boyan walk you through some of the stuff you should get. Actually, Amazon has some bundles that have like Arduinos and parts and stuff in it. You can do that. There's the bundle I think we still did with the IoT Bootcamp still available. It was, I want to say $40, $50 like that, and it had a Nano and another Arduino in it, and then a bunch of other pieces, sensors and stuff like that. So, I mean, this is something you can get like everything you need hardware wise for $50, and just go bonkers. Or you can, pieces, just get a few pieces and do stuff with it. But just being able to connect to one of these guys is an individual Nano and just have the light blink and know you did that is pretty cool.
I think just having a computer available for $2 is by itself is pretty amazing.
Yeah, for me, some of the most interesting ones are the like the ESP8266 and ESP32, especially ESP32. ESP8266, you can get it for as cheap as $1 a piece, and it's basically a much more powerful computer than the Arduino. Which has built-in Wi-Fi, right? And the ESP32 has both Wi-Fi and Bluetooth LE. So here you can see one for $2.95 as example, right? And sometimes you can find deals for them $1 a piece. I mean, not very often, but you can get even those. And I mean, it's a single chip computer with built-in Wi-Fi and reasonably, I mean, quite powerful actually. So
the difference between this one and this one is this one here is a breakout board and it has all the pins on it, makes it easier to work with. Whereas this one's the same chip, but it's not as easy to work with. So this would be like something you'd use in a final project.
Correct.
But yeah.
So Yeah,
So Boyan, what kinds of things do people make with these?
That's probably the wrong question. The correct question probably would be what kind of things people don't do with these things. So yeah, they do everything. They build robots like right here I have one of those robots, and I have about 9 different robots at the moment. They do robots. I have my. Let me grab it actually because it's right here. So this funny contraption,
I've got one
which
here. I'm
you're
putting together
seeing
too.
right here. Can you see it? Oops.
Yep.
Yeah. Let me see.
Yep.
So this funny contraption effectively is a remote control for my air conditioning system. It has, well, I use the temperature sensor, but it has temperature, humidity, and this is temperature and humidity sensor, this particular one. It has LCD display. It has rotary encoder, which I can use to set the temperature, and it has one of the ESP8266 base boards. This is not MCU board. So this guy talks to a module that I have installed next to my thermostat in a different room. So in whichever room I put this sensor, that's the room where I'm going to control the temperature in the house. So I can move this guy around the house, put it wherever I want it, and it's going to control the temperature wherever I want it for my comfort, effectively. Now this is what some of the stuff I do. Let me grab one of them. Oh yeah, right here. They're industrial controllers, like this is industrial controller, and earlier I mentioned the audio feed was cut. There is Visuino Pro, which is designed specifically to program industrial controllers like this one. But this is industrial controller, which is Arduino based. You can program it with Visuino, and you can automate industries and stuff. I mean, they're used all over the place for SCADA applications. You can implement Modbus protocols and stuff. Let me grab another guy. So this is another interesting guy, which I just received a couple of weeks ago, and I have not worked with it yet. But it's an interesting module for sure. Oops, wrong place for the camera. So this guy has CAN bus protocol, and it allows you to hook it to your car, and you can do diagnostics on your car. You can control some of the capabilities of the car and do stuff like that. So this is for CAN bus hacking.
So that gives you the ability to make your own smart car then, huh?
If you insist on doing that, hopefully not starting to kill people with it. But, yeah, let me grab another interesting guy if I can find it around here. Yeah, right here. So here is another very interesting guy, very, very interesting, for which I added support a couple of weeks ago. So this is ESP32 based module, which in addition to that has a LoRa capability. Costs about $20, by the way.
So LoRa is a different radio frequency, right?
Yeah, LoRa basically is a long-range, small packet, unregulated radio. So it can communicate within few miles. So one option is, as example, you can hook it with the GPS module and have a load jack for your car and figure out where your car is, because it will transmit with your own encoding and everything else, constant information about the location of your car, so you can track it in case it gets stolen. This one also is good for putting remote sensors in the field, because it has, with this antenna, it will have probably 2-3 miles at least distance coverage. With directional antenna, the record I think was like 700 kilometers or something like that they reached. Though I'm sure they just transmitted 1 or 2 packets over that distance with really good directional antenna. Nonetheless, with good antennas, this thing can cover considerable distances, and it can run, you can see it, it can run on battery. It can run on battery for quite prolonged periods of time as well. So this guy has Wi-Fi, it has Bluetooth LE, and it has LoRa. communication, and it has a built-in display, graphical display or OLED display, and all of that for $20. I would say it's not a bad piece of rather universal equipment. So people do drones with those things. They do satellites. They're cube satellites that were built with Arduinos. They do home automation, car equipment.
I think Craig was saying you were building a system for to control the antenna on your car. Is that right, Craig?
Yeah, that's what I'm about to construct. Is the auto antenna that goes up and down. It's driven off the back of a typical head unit, but I have replaced my head unit with a custom Android install. So I'm building a little relay to switch the antenna on and off.
And I saw a video that I think Craig shared that somebody used Visuino to build back at Halloween. It was a animatronic skeleton that played the piano.
Well, you know who that was?
Oh, who did that?
Boian.
Well, not exactly. I simply helped the guy. If you search on the internet Skelly the robot, you should be able to see it. You can, Jim, you can search on the web browser maybe. Should be able to find it. Search Skelly the robot. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. Except I'm not going to have any audio because of the way things are set up. But yeah, so this guy here was programmed with Visuino.
Yeah, he's building, hopefully building one for me too, but because that's what he promised. He's also building animatronic dog that is supposed to walk and hopefully do some other tricks. So we'll see how this one is going to work. He's building two of them, one of them for me.
Yeah. So, David, in answer to your question, pretty much everything. the stuff that people are doing with Arduino is just phenomenal because these little microcontrollers here are so you consider you have like the Raspberry Pi, which is a full computer, and these are microcontrollers. So the difference is Raspberry Pi runs an operating system, whereas these guys just run one program and just do one thing. So they're essentially a real-time system, and you can do, control any kind of hardware or sensors or, whatever you want to do with them. It's pretty amazing. A friend of mine just built a garage door opener that he can connect to with his phone and open and close the garage door via his smartphone. Which I totally want to build one of those now.
And as I came back, I had to step away for a minute, but as I came back, I overheard Boian saying about the CubeSats. And I was seriously looking into building a CubeSat once, and actually there's a less expensive variant called the TubeSat that you can have put into orbit as well. So I was very seriously considering building one of these at one point, and of course I used Arduinos in all but one of my balloon flights as well.
Ah.
Cool.
So one of the things I think I mentioned earlier is one of the things I love about Visuino is it's kind of a nice entryway for people to get into Delphi development because it's a great way for you to target Arduino, but then when you want to connect it to a smartphone or whatever, then you go and use some of Boian's other libraries here, Communications Lab and such. And next thing you know, you're building a Delphi mobile application that's able to talk to these devices. And then, as I mentioned, so Visuino is $9.95 to buy, but all of your stuff is available for free for like a trial, like a extended trial or something like that. Is that right, Boian?
Yeah, basically for education, if you're just hobbyist or do something just for fun, all of my stuff is free. The only catch is that some of the visual components will have a small message that says free version, and that's about it. Everything else is going to work just fine. So if you want to build some stuff for free, yeah, you just go download it, install it, and it all works. no source code
Right.
for the free version. But yeah, I mean, if you want the source code, you have to pay for access to it. But other than that, yeah, you can just use the free version.
Yeah, so here's Communication Lab, $39, $200 with source, and then was it Instrument Lab? Was the other one I got, or was it Plot Lab? I think it was Instrument Lab. So yeah, I got Communication Lab and Instrument Lab, and it was like connecting to our. I mean, I didn't have a project yet. When I saw this, I was like, "Oh my goodness, I have to have this." But now I've got projects and hardware all over the place. Now, OpenWire Studio is a kind of interesting project here as well.
As the perpetual beta product, it's been in beta for literally decades, and it's a product that is much more of a technology demonstrator than a product. Well, I mean, it's a fully functional product. Don't get me wrong, and it's a very powerful product. But it's a product that mainly is designed to probe the waters, and that was the product that made Visuino possible, because I simply took the OpenWire Studio technology and adapted it for Arduino development. But that's a interesting product. It allows you to create solutions, programming solutions without writing code, just using OpenWire, connecting everything. And typically you'd use it to run experiments, to run lab equipment, to process some video. I use it very often to process video. You can use it to connect to Visuino programmed Arduinos, or even you can use it for industrial automation. You can quickly connect to PLC controllers with it, start monitoring PLC controllers, create PLC, Modbus bridge, and bridge between different SCADA networks, or even implement your own either simulated controller or a real PLC SCADA controller. So it's quite powerful tool. The problem with it is that it's not very specialized. It does all of those things, but it is not targeting any specific area. It's much more of a tool that demonstrates everything that's currently possible with the technologies, if you understand what I mean.
So now it looks a lot like Visuino, but it's for building Windows desktop applications. Does it have all of your intelligence lab and everything like that built into it?
Yes, everything is in it.
Now, does it forward engineer into a Delphi application, or does it build things that run within OpenWire Studio?
It just whatever you build, it runs within OpenWire Studio.
Okay.
And again, because everything is designed to work with everything else, there are some very interesting capabilities. As example, if you create OpenWire Studio project, you can actually load and execute this project from inside Delphi.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you have somebody who designs some functionality in OpenWire Studio, that functionality could be directly consumed in the form, kind of like DLL effectively. It can be consumed and executed inside Delphi. And you can also have the two projects work as separated processes and communicate with each other. So you can, it has all the communication lab capabilities, so it can communicate with and control lab capabilities, so it can communicate with communication lab or control lab on the Delphi side, and of course also on the other side it can communicate with Visuino programmed Arduino. So
wow,
it integrates with the rest of everything.
That sounds really powerful, and I saw the price was only $99. That seems, but it doesn't include source.
I think Boian must be independently wealthy to give this stuff away so cheaply.
That's a secret, I guess, huh?
Yeah, that's a secret. I'm not sharing that secret.
Wow. So, essentially, if I understand correctly, with OpenWire Studio, I could build something that connects to my Arduino, input some information, uses AI, visual stuff like that, and then from there consume that for my Delphi application?
Yeah, you can do that too. Yeah.
Wow.
You can do it, of course, directly from the Delphi application, or you can do it with OpenWire Studio as intermediary, either directly loading OpenWire Studio project in Delphi, which is possible. I have special component for that, which loads OpenWire Studio projects and executes them literally inside Delphi. Or you can run OpenWire Studio independently and talk to OpenWire Studio executing project from Delphi. So both capabilities are available.
Okay. Wow. So now, you mentioned Visuino Pro earlier. What's the difference between Visuino and Visuino Pro? Which I don't think I saw anything about on your website yet about Visuino Pro yet.
Yeah, Visuino Pro is not available on the website. Visuino Pro is available only to selected group of people. If you want access to it, you have to join the Visuino G+ community, and there I post the link. Visuino Pro is currently in beta, and it is intended for industrial automation. I have not decided on price or specific packaging. The whole idea is I have gotten a fair number of people using it extensively, and I am taking their feedback to figure out what else I need to add into it and how it should be structured. Eventually, I will ask people what they think it should cost. Most likely in the G+ community, we'll have discussion about that and how it should be marketed. And when this is done, then it will become publicly available. But for now, it's available only to the member of this community. The difference between Visuino and Visuino Pro is first, Visuino Pro has Fourier transformations and Modbus support, so you can implement Modbus PLCs, programmable logic controllers. You can you can implement Modbus user interface, I mean clients effectively, or masters as they call them in the Modbus world. So you can connect to other Modbus PLC controllers. You can create bridges between different Modbus networks over TCP or serial port and bridge between them, or between RTU and ASCII, which are two different formats, serial ports, and so on and so forth. And you can mix all of those capabilities in any way you want. The Visuino Pro also has live code view, which constantly shows you how your code changes, the generated code, as you keep adding new functionality.
Oh, that's
and
cool.
I am adding some new experimental features, like having component where you can write your own custom code, having live help, which whenever you select something, the help screen immediately is available for you, automatically gets refreshed, and I mean constantly available for anything you pick. Some of those advanced features will eventually be moved into the standard version. So I am also using the Visuino Pro as a beta facility for some of the functionality that I plan to move to the standard version once when they're polished. So that's what Visuino Pro currently is, and that's where it's heading. It's just heading to support the automation, predominantly the automation industry, but generally speaking for the professionals, for the industry. And it's going to be more expensive product. I just don't know how much more expensive at this point.
So it's going to be like the $999 price tag, closer than the
Probably. I mean, again, this is a product that competes in space where products typically cost in the range of tens of thousands of dollars per seat. So even if I sell it for $1,000, I probably will be order of magnitude cheaper. So yeah, this is a completely different space. It's a relatively more specialized space where a lot of money are involved, and I mean probably for good reason. So once when it is released, again, it's not going to be for $10 for sure. I mean, it's going to be a more expensive product. I just don't know how much more expensive.
Yeah.
And there can be, again, different tiers or something like that. So
Now the Modbus support, if I understand correctly, because I remember I went to your session at the SoCal Code Camp. It's like a protocol on top of working with the Arduino. Is that right?
well, Modbus protocol is industrial protocol. It predates Arduino by many decades. It's one of the most fundamental SCADA protocols. So if you go to a factory anywhere around the world, that's probably the protocol that controls the corresponding industry nowadays. So it's been around for like, I forgot, was it like 50 years or something like that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of the earliest protocols. Being so old, it's not the most beautiful protocols in the world, but on another hand, everybody is using it. So I simply looked into that protocol and wrote libraries for Arduino, allowing Arduino to plug directly into this powerful industrial world, and then take controllers like this one. And I have here, let me grab. Here is another one which I can show. And just disconnect it really quick. So here is another controller, which oddly enough they put the antenna pointing downward, but this is another industrial controller, and you can see here that you can connect a variety of endpoints and then mount it on the rack. And then it has display. This one has touch screen display. It has Arduino Mega inside it, and you can program it with Visuino Pro and have it control other PLCs. So, for example, you can get this one to control this one, or this one to control itself and control this one, or this one being controlled by something else or control something else. And here is example. Since I said that this is not Arduino specific, this is a non-Arduino based industrial controller, which is a much more expensive type of controller. They have their own development tools and stuff, but this is also a Modbus controller. So as example, I can have Arduino controller talk to this one, or I can have Delphi application with control app talk to this one. And with control app, you can use Delphi to control industrial processes and everything else. So that's another very interesting area. Control app is not shown on the main website yet. The main site is in process of being upgraded. So some of the latest products are not shown here yet. They're on my blog. So if you go to support, you can probably find my blog here. No, on the website. If you go back to the website, on support blog. So this is my blog. I put it on my blog. So if you go to Delphi 10.2 versions on the right side, there are plenty of other stuff on the blog, but on the tags on the right side, right there, yes, you can see the latest versions are available right here. So including Control App.
Now, you told me the other day how many libraries you're maintaining. What is it?
The total number is 49, I believe, in terms of not only libraries but products altogether. That does not include 2 new products that are currently under development. So if we count them, they're about 51 products as the current count, if I'm not mistaken, because sometimes I get lost counting the products.
So now you have all of these, and then you have them for .NET as well.
Everything except Animation Lab and Visual Live Binding. Everything else is available for .NET. And I have also versions for old vanilla C++, including Visual C++, for people that still want to use MFC and stuff like that. So, it's a fair number of variety of products. And one of the interesting things is that the .NET versions are actually written in Delphi. So if somebody tells you that you cannot use Delphi to write .NET stuff, they probably are not quite right.
Yeah, it reminds
You
me.
can.
I had a friend that used to work. This was years ago, like we'll say Delphi 6 time frame, and he worked for a company that was building all these applications in VB, and he was part of it. They had like I want to say like 50 VB developers, and they had 2 Delphi developers, and the 2 Delphi developers' job was to build all the components that the VB developers used to build the applications, and he would go to his boss and say, "Look, we can do all the stuff you're doing in VB easier in Delphi, and get rid of VB." And the boss is like, "No, I don't want to hear that." He's like, "No, look, the two of us can outproduce everybody else here." And he's like, "No, we're a VB shop." It's just anyway. So that's interesting. So you build it with Delphi. Are you building it as a COM object then, and wrapping
No,
it in
it's my own technology.
your own
I
technology?
have developed, yeah, I have developed technology that doesn't use COM for that. It directly takes a VCL component and generates all the proxy functionality for that VCL component, uh, and creates a .NET corresponding .NET component for it, including image and everything else. It's pretty much automated, so I can create icon in Delphi, and it's gonna pick the icon and everything else, and it's gonna pick off the design time functionality, property editors, component editors, and everything else, and it's gonna make it available in .NET.
Wow.
I'm lazy.
Very cool. Well, we had that false start, so we're actually running out of time. Was there anything else you wanted to mention here about anything you have coming, or anything you're working on, or anything you're excited about in the future?
Well, I mean, first of all, one of the most exciting things happened very recently. Again, that tells you how insane I am. But I decided that the code that Visuino was generating was not good enough, and decided to rewrite everything I wrote in the last 3 years, literally in 4 weeks. And now Visuino generates code that is probably more efficient than manually optimized, highly optimized Arduino code. And I reduced the memory usage by about 80%. And I plan to reduce it probably by another 30-40% of what remains in the future. So that's something that is going under development now. Other than that, obviously, I keep expanding and adding new functionalities all the time. So there's always a lot of exciting stuff. We hopefully I can mention that, but hopefully we will be making some new workshops together with Embarcadero,
Yeah.
showing how you can use Delphi and Visuino to program things like the robot which I showed, and hopefully we'll show some more interesting robots. So those are some of the exciting things, I guess, right at this moment.
Very cool. Yeah.
If anybody else said that my tools can generate code that's more optimized than handcrafted optimized code, if it was anybody else, I wouldn't believe them. But with Boian, I do.
Thank
Yep.
you.
Absolutely. David or Craig, either of you have any? I guess Craig first. Do you have any questions for Boian before we go, or anybody have any questions in the chat room?
I don't. I was following along. I'm very interested in what Boian has, but I think I understood and followed.
I've been using Visuino, but I need to download Visuino Pro because that has some really cool sounding features in it. I certainly can't justify all of those features professionally yet, but it sounds like a great. I love the code preview and stuff like that. It sounds like really really cool stuff. So I'm gonna check that out. Check out the Pro version. David, anything for you?
No, it was all very impressive stuff. So I enjoyed mostly enjoys just watching and listening today.
Yeah. Okay. Very cool. So if you want more information about what Boian's up to, just go to mitov.com, and there's links there to everywhere else. Join the Visuino Visual Arduino Developers Community, which has got, 8,000 people in it? Yeah, over 8,000 members.
Well over 8,000.
Yeah. And Visuino, I've been running into people in other circles that are using Visuino now, and it is the device or the tool if you're doing Arduino development, and there's so much cool stuff to do with Arduino development. So definitely check that out, and check out some of Boian's labs, and then also you can find more information about the latest things he's up to here on his blog, which is labpacks.blogspot.com. And yeah, we hopefully going to do some more projects with you in the future here. I just got one of these I got to play with. So much cool stuff to do. Anyway,
I made my one to play Happy Birthday, so I can send you the project. Yeah.
oh, very cool. Oh, and I need I got the Kuman robot here. Ah!
Oh, cool.
So my
Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
not finished being assembled yet. So I need the app, the Delphi app from you to control this via
Yeah,
Bluetooth.
sure. I'll send you that.
But this has been, my niece has been working on this with me. She's my intern, so
Cool.
very cool. Looking forward to getting this finished. So yeah, these David, if you're interested, these robots are $50 on Amazon, I think, and there's an Arduino right here in it, and then here's the motor controller, and it's got all the motors, 4 motors on here, and then it's got LEDs on the front, and then light sensors, and then it's also going to have sonar on it here as well for detecting objects, so it can avoid objects and stuff like that. So pretty cool robots you can start building here as well. So there's tons and tons of things to do with this. But it's also got on the bottom here, these are sensors, so it can, I guess these are so it can follow lines on the ground. Is that right, Boian?
That is correct. Yeah,
Yeah.
those are line following sensors.
Line following sensors. So very cool. All right. Well, we're going to wrap it up here. Does Boian work 38 hours a day to keep 50 libraries active? I think he must work 30 hours a day, 10 days a week. It's crazy. What's your secret, Boian? Coffee?
I don't review it easily. Computer slave. Okay, I'll reveal it. Computer slave labor.
Computer
I
slave.
just get the computers to do the majority of the work.
So you're using Intelligence Lab to do all the work for you.
I'm not revealing that much of the secret.
All right, cool. All right, well, thanks everybody for joining us. Sorry for the trouble we were having at the beginning there, but we got it figured out here finally. So thanks a lot, and we'll see you all next week. And can't say for sure who I have next week, but I am planning to do more of these, having some of our fantastic tech partners like Boian on with us to talk about some of the things they're doing. And so definitely stay tuned for that. Thanks a lot, Boian.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Where is the control? There it is.